Hey guys, doing a review on the Kastking Royale Legend 2. It has a 7:2 to 1 gear ratio, 17 pounds of drag, and it holds 110 yards of 12-pound line, 120-pound line. Here to do a review because the reviews I see are pretty mixed. And a lot of the reviews I see, the people haven't had it for that long of a time. I've had mine for a year now. I got it as my second bait caster. My first one was a Daiwa. And I just wanted a cheap second bait caster. That way I didn't have to switch baits as much. And this was on sale on Amazon for $32. Like, okay, I gotta try it. Here's my honest impressions of it. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's good if you throw heavier stuff. This is a 3/8 ounce mini max. I don't know if every jig's like this, but I know non-bladed jigs, they don't account for the hook weight, the skirt. So like a 1/4 ounce jig's really like almost 3/8, and like a 1/2 ounce jig is really like almost 3/4, and like all that. I don't know if bladed jigs are like that too, where they only count the head and not the skirt, hook, and the blade. But so yeah, this might really be more like a 1/2 ounce or a little more with the trailer. It throws this fine. Lightest setup I've probably thrown on it is like a 3/16 ounce weight with like a Zoom speed worm. I don't throw light stuff on it. It don't cast light stuff very well. But if you're gonna throw heavier stuff, I think it's good. Something that was a little surprising is I actually had it spooled up at one point with 15-pound fluorocarbon, and it casted pretty well. But I was throwing a 1/2 ounce slobber knocker, which is just a chatterbait, 1/2 ounce slobber knocker. With a trailer, so it was really more like around 3/4, which is a pretty big bait. But fluorocarbon don't cast the best, and this thing was casting it pretty far. Like I said, for a $4 reel, I think it's decent. For what I use it for, no issues, because I'm throwing heavier stuff. Once you get it dialed in, you could literally cast it far. There's no backlash. There's a little bit of overrun, but as long as you thumb it before it hits the water, you're good. You don't got to feather the spool. If you're using it how I'm using it for heavier stuff, it don't take much skill to cast. Something I will say about it, this is my one negative with it, and this is why I'm saying it's not very versatile. But it's hard to get a versatile reel for 40 bucks, guys, especially a bait caster. See how there's all these different brake settings? There's 10 brake settings. In my opinion, it's more like there's really only like 5 brake settings, if that makes sense. Like, I'll have my brakes on 7 and 8, and the cast distance won't change. But then once I get to 6, everything changes. But like when I get to 5, it's the same as 6, and like 4 is the same as 6. I like, it's really like there's only 3 or 4 actual brake settings, like loose, less loose, good, and then too tight. What I found the best is I have mine on 6. And I have the spool with just a little bit of side-to-side play. And I cast heavier baits out. I don't need to really feather the spool or anything. Once you get it dialed, you just stop it before it hits the water, and it's good. I've had it for a year. I don't fish that much. I probably honestly have caught 100 plus fish on it. Haven't caught a fish over 5. Biggest fish I've caught on it is about 4.5 pounds. I haven't frogged with it either. That's a really good way to see, or punch. That's a really good way to see what a reel could do if it could handle stuff like that. But another good way they say to like test reels is bigger moving baits. And you know, a 1/2 ounce jackhammer with a trailer, or a 1/2 ounce slobber knocker with a trailer, that weighs a lot. And that's mainly what I throw on this, and it cranks it fine. You know, Gambler Fat Aces with like a 1/4 or 3/8 ounce weight. You know, That's what I throw. I am from Florida, so it's not really finessey here, especially from the bank. You just gotta assume you're gonna get snagged with like treble hook baits and stuff because there's just so much grass in the water. Um, so yeah, for only thing I've really thrown on it is Texas rigs, chatterbaits, and jigs. I've not thrown nothing else. I've not thrown top water. I've not thrown swim baits or anything like that. I take that back. I've thrown like plastic swim baits, like a Big Easy or like a Swim Shad by Berkeley, the ones that come pre-made at like Walmart or whatever. Stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's a fine reel for $40. I don't think it's like great, but I think it's good. I don't think it's bad. For me, it's good. Because I'm not asking it to do anything too hard. It's not hard for cheap bait casters to throw heavy baits. Once you get them dialed in, they're pretty good. Like an example I'll give. Here's a reel I have. The Abu Garcia Max Z. It's supposed to be better than a Black Max. It's like a $60 to $70 reel. I'd prefer this reel over it, like for sure. This is just my opinion. Like the big brands don't do cheap reels well. Like a lot of people like the Black Max. I think this is better than a Black Max. It casts further than a Black Max. But this is what everyone says about the Black Max. They say it's a workhorse. They say that they've had some people say they've had their Black Maxes for 3 and 4 years. And you know, and they've caught peacock, snakehead, and they've really put them through the ringer. Maybe if you're planning to really go hard on your stuff, maybe Abu's better. But when it comes to feel and casting distance, compared to this and compared to a Black Max, I prefer this. That's just me. But yeah, I think this is a good reel. I think it's $40 on Amazon right now. But it goes on sale all the time. If you want to get into bait casting and you don't want to spend a lot of money, that's actually what happened to my friend. My friend only fished with spinning tackle. We were fishing and he got bent out on a big fish. It was like a 7 or 8 pound fish. Bent out his 3/0 super line hook, and he was pissed. And then I caught a fish like similar size the next day, and the fish, there's really nothing you could do about it, you know, because you got your good rod, you got your bait caster, you got your heavy braid, and you could really pin those fish down. They can't really do nothing about it. If you got your bigger hooks and your bigger weight and stuff. But yeah, then when he seen that, he's like, bro, I gotta get a bait caster. What's the cheapest, best bait caster I could get? And I told him to get this. Then he goes, it's not as big as the fish he lost, but he caught a 5 pounder a few months ago. And he reeled them right in, no hooks bent out. He was throwing a bigger hook. And that's what bait casting allows you to do. If you ever see big, cool baits at Walmart and you're like, oh, I want to throw those. Or maybe you try it. Maybe you try and throw a frog on your spinning combo, but you're like, oh, why isn't this working? Why can't I use these other baits? They're too heavy. You're supposed to have a bait caster for them. But yeah, I think it's pretty good for heavier stuff. It's not for weightless flukes. It's not for small spinner baits. It's a cheaper reel, and cheaper reels don't throw light stuff that good. It's just how it works. The brakes aren't the best. Like I said, they're not very versatile. This is not a versatile reel. Heavier stuff, but not too heavy stuff. Like, I'm not going to throw swim bait on it. But anything from 3/8 to 3/4 ounce, I've had no issue with it at all on this reel. But yeah, that's my review. If I had to give it out of 10, I'd say a 7 or a 7.5. And yeah, that's my review on it. Cause it's weird. You see a lot of reviews. Some people are like, oh, this reel is a piece of junk, don't buy it. And then there's people who are like, oh my God, this reel's great. I think it's great for the money. But it's not as impressive as it used to be. cheap bait casters aren't as bad as they used to be. So, you know, maybe 3-4 years ago, this would have been super impressive. But nowadays, for $40, $50, you're getting good reels now compared to a long time ago. But yeah, I think this is a good reel. I try and get it on sale. It goes on sale all the time. You rarely ever have to pay $43 or $42 for it, which is full price. But if you're thinking about it, you're thinking about pulling the trigger, first bait caster, I think it's worth it. If, like I said, you kind of adhere to what I said and you throw heavier stuff. If you get it and you're trying to throw, 8-pound fluorocarbon and a weightless fluke and it's backlashing on you and it's just casting like crap, I don't think it's good for that. My best experience is heavier stuff with heavier line. But yeah, that's my review on it. I definitely think for $40, you can't go wrong. I will say this. If you could afford $60 or $70, if you could afford $20 or $30 more dollars, you could get things that are much better. But if you have like $70, $80 and you're trying to, 30, 40 on the reel, 30, 40 on the rod, and you really got to stick to it, $40, pretty good deal for this. All right, well, I didn't want to cut my line because I don't want to retie leader, so I just took my reel off the rod and then have the line all going crazy. But yeah, thank you guys for watching my review. Hope you guys give it a shot. And again, I know I said earlier, I've had this for a year. I fished with it a lot. It's not like I just got my reel, and I hate reviews like that. Like, they'll just get their reel in the mail and they'll feel it and they'll turn it and be like, oh, this reel's good. I fished with it. Haven't really torture tested it. I haven't frogged with it or anything like that or caught really big fish on it. But if you're a pond guy, a small lake guy, and the biggest fish, like a monster fish for you, is like 6, 7, 8 pounds, then I think this is fine. I've caught 4-pounders, a lot of 3 and 4s on it. Just can't hit that 5 mark for some reason. It's probably because I'm always throwing better stuff on my better setups. And this is more like 2nd and 3rd setup, like backup. But yeah, it's a good reel. It's not a great reel. If you don't ask it to do too much, you'll be very satisfied with it. Thank you. Have a good one, guys.